Hey everybody, welcome to another one of Samson's Saturday mailbag slash film reviews slash whatever the hell it is. Next week, Lewis will be on here and we'll be talking all kinds of interesting stuff that comes from him. Another reminder that myself and Trey are twice a week now, coming out on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Lots to look forward to. Of course, I'm Samson. I'm here to watch some basketball with you and answer your questions and to generally give insights on Raptors basketball and basketball at large. I will say I'm gonna give a shout out to I can't remember if it's NBC or Amazon, whichever one has Taylor Rooks and all them. They did a breakdown with their huge court of the like back and forth, can you outfox, tag man, corner man, roll man situation, and they broke it down great. I love to see that kind of stuff represented at the more popular levels of analysis. Hell yeah to that. The Raptors lost 122 to 116 against the Bucks in what I thought was an extremely winnable game, a game that was very gettable, and a game that not only showed, where the Raptors are not exactly great, but also showed where the Bucks aren't great. And there are sticking points with each team that are going to be present throughout the whole NBA season, without a doubt. Uh, Giannis, his guys, Cole Anthony and Gary Trent Jr. really stepped up. We'll go through some of the breakdown on how they were able to do that. And the Raptors, I mean, they lost the point of contact too often defensively, and that, of course, they had their offensive struggles down the stretch. But it as Zeke G in chat says, you got to get the BI the ball when it's winning time. That's true, but also they didn't score the ball too poorly. Their half court offensive rating was pretty good in this game. They scored 116 points. What really was the thing is that Giannis was 11 of 14 shooting from the field, which sometimes you're not going to be able to curb that. But also 9 of 14 for Cole Anthony for 23 points. Gary Trent Jr. giving you 19 in pretty short order. The Raptors, as Gareth Gareth says, Giannis is so strong. He certainly is, man. He's tough to handle. We'll get into the defensive tape on how the Raptors struggled with that. But largely, when I was watching this game, and the crowd was great. And staying afterwards to talk to the guys, it was cool to be like talking to Scottie, and you hear this giant roar coming from the arena where there's a Blue Jays watch party, and it's because Dalton Varsho just hit a two-run homer, the first home run on Blake Snell in over a year. Insanity. But anyway, basketball, as far as the Giannis thing, like we can just show on screen some of the Raptors offense. And basically what we're seeing here is that there's always going to be this push and pull with Emmanuel quickly, that he doesn't pressure the rim extremely well. And that's always going to be a sticking point with him. Even when he gets downhill, he's leaving points there, and historically always has. And whether this is, Emmanuel as a floater guy and being reliant on that, or whether this is Emmanuel as a guy who's just not finishing at the rim. I mean, he didn't hit his free throws last night, which was maybe the toughest part of it. But he's a guy who we've seen him try to create a bunch. We've seen the Raptors put the ball in his hands repeatedly, and they did a lot last night. And the Raptors, if we can just, I mean, if we can just go through the tape, there's a lot of stuff to correct here. So the first is just a straight line drive where Emmanuel, he picks up his dribble too early. Just full on picks up the dribble too early. Could have put another one down. He was too nervous. He was too excited about having Cole on his hip, and he picked up too early. He overextended himself as a finisher. He wasn't able to make it happen. This one, I was pretty disappointed with because either Jakob or Scottie, this isn't exactly the Ben Simmons situation because Giannis is coming into the play to hang out and be present. But one of these guys has to test the rim here because it's either it goes out to RJ and you're asking him to hit a three here, which isn't such a bad idea, but one of Jakob or Scottie, and for audio listeners, you know the play I'm talking about where everybody's collapsed late. You got that empty side pick and roll you wanted with Brandon Ingram on ball. He makes the perfect read. It's clutch time. Put the ball in the basket. And everyone gets a little bit nervy. You got Miles Turner, you've got Giannis in the paint hounding everybody, and the ball squirts out, and it's no good at all. This play, I think, is a tremendous score taught screen from Jakob Poeltl. Like he rolls, it's not there, and then he Gortat screens Turner because Turner overextends himself at the point of attack, even though he's playing drop, right? Turner, his defense, he's a big guy, but he can get exposed really easily. Quickly gathers again too early. And he got fouled and he split the free throws, but this is a layup. There's a Gortat screen on Turner. There's no resistance at the rim. There's no excuse, even though he did get fouled, there's no excuse to leave those points on the line. And this is something that I've struggled, not that I've struggled with, that I've been frustrated with quickly for so long, is that he is fundamentally a guard who is taking way more floaters than he does layups. And even when layups are available, he's going to that float, that touch, and he's leaving points on the board, especially if we're looking at the Raptors trying to create. Everybody in chat saying give the ball to BI in different forms and fashions. Correct. This is one where it's like BI gets an empty side of the floor to attack. And I like the process of what's happening here. But in this play, we're seeing a limitation of the threats on the floor for the Raptors, right? So we have a bunch of different guys. RJ triggers this cut, which is a great cut because it opens up above the break for Mamu. But they're going to zone up between who? Shed and Mamu. Now it is on either Scottie to come to the corner and meet the ball, or it's on Shed to cut the middle to try and drag his man lower so that they can't have a weak side zone anymore, or even just a zone up top. And then Mamu should be open or Shed should be open. This guy, Ryan Rollins, is splitting the difference between the two. The problem with this is Shed makes this cut, but Turner's still in the paint. Giannis is still roaming. Even if Shed gets this ball, this is going to be a tough finish. And Ryan Rollins kind of knows this. He stunts to it, and he knows Ingram wants to get the ball to Mamu. He stunts perfectly. He picks off the pass. It's just, that's what it is. AI Sam says, number one problem, look who's on the floor with 5 minutes left. A lot of teams go with like the last 4 minutes is when they put their high level lineups in. And the Raptors aren't so much different in that sense at all. They're a team that's what they want to do. They play their guys a lot. They plan on doing it. But 5 minutes left. Grady was 2 for 7 in this game. His difficult shots, and that's his job. Hit difficult shots, take difficult shots. Defensively, he didn't do too bad. He was on AJ Green most of the time. He wasn't linked to a lot of their worst problems, although he's not very good in rotation at the bottom. There's not a lot of teeth there. They went to battle, and it worked really well. We even have a play later on where they screen battle off of Cole Anthony to get Ingram on, and then Anthony screen rejects, beats everybody downhill. It was not a good possession for Ingram or Pirtle, but I mean, instead of Shed, I probably would have liked more Battle. Battle was 3 for 3 from downtown. He played ball pressure defense. He did pretty good. Country Kong says Darko has to read the game and allow Grady and our other shooters to have a longer leash. Yeah, I would have liked the other shooters in the game. Like, I liked the Battle minutes. I really did. I talked about before the season started how I thought Battle could be a linchpin in some lineups who provides size, a bit of mobility, and also great shooting. AISM says he was 3 for 3, hoping they'd respect him in the corner. Yeah, and as far as open shooters go, Jamison Battle is one of the best I've ever seen in my time covering the NBA. Now, the movement stuff is where, it evens things out a little bit, but he was great. The Raptors, they do have to figure out their fourth quarter rotations. I thought that Jamal Shed and Emmanuel Quickley were both really poor, not only creating offense over the course of the night, but also with their ball pressure defense. I didn't find it to be very effective at all in this game. That's going to be linked to the screen rejects, which I talked to Darko about post-game, and I've queued up a bunch. But before we get to the screen rejects, which is when I asked Darko, like, what do you think was the big problem with Cole Anthony? Do you think it was overloading on Giannis, or do you think that this is more linked to Cole kind of getting loose? And he talked about screen rejects. But before we get into that, I do want to get into some of the help principles and the overhelping principles that the Raptors ran into. And like the tough thing, firstly, Scottie did a great job on Giannis. Now, Giannis is always going to get his points. He's always going to get his numbers. But I do want to credit him. His fronting was very effective. And I don't want to belabor a bad defensive game by just putting good Scotties. Like, Scottie was good. and we'll use this play to highlight it. But he fronts to take it away. They try and reverse the ball to Miles Turner to enter it from the other side. Scottie beats him to the punch, creates a steal. This is really the benefit of Scottie Barnes in this game and why he was so helpful with Giannis. But we can see, well, also this is a tough thing too. Asking Brandon Ingram to meet the ball up the floor, the ball pressure. Like, sure, there's the press initially, but then you get the relax, the release, right? Because Brandon Ingram, if Gary Trent Jr. kills his dribble right here, you have to go be really present, because if they're just going to run a guy off and use him as a screen, he's way late on rotating, or he should be falling back. But he chose the worst decision there, right? And it creates a layup. And Jakob Poeltl is not the rim defender that he used to be. But that's just, it's not great defense. This one too, Ochai doesn't find a body. Mamu loses a jump ball to Cole Anthony. Scottie was the only guy who was engaged defensively there. He was on Giannis, and he was like, okay, there's a presence here, and then it ends up going to Giannis, and there's a bit of a letdown. This one is the play where we start really seeing that the Raptors' help principles were a bit confused. And for audio listeners, basically Giannis is catching at the free throw line a little bit higher up. We have Scottie on him, and the Raptors decided that they were going to send doubles when Giannis turns his back. And I think they wanted to do that because they were passing, or they're doubling one pass away, and they want to be able to recover. The positions they put themselves in to recover out to shooters were generally quite poor in these situations. So Brandon is a blind double, but he doesn't really attack the ball here. He just goes and shows a body. RJ Barrett also steps up out of the corner to show a body. And right now, the read for Giannis looks like it would be to the corner to Miles Turner, obviously. But because the Raptors they don't really know what they're doing, and Giannis again goes to a spin and Ingram rotates over, RJ should be in the position to go on AJ Green if that is really Brandon Ingram's double. You know what I mean? AI Sam says doubling in the middle of the floor. W, we say, or an easy way to get cooked, basically. Yes, your help principles have to be very strong. You have to know exactly where you want to be. And there is two very easy reads to either Miles Turner or AJ Green. And guess what? Brandon and RJ both close out to the same guy, and they're both very late. This is because it's not about what happened during the past. These types of confusions happen fairly often in the NBA. You get a double closeout, but it's the prep beforehand. Nobody's in the right spot here. And while Ingram was not really good doubling, RJ is just in no man's land. He can't take away the corner pass. He can't get to AJ Green. He's, I guess, floating towards Gary Trent Jr., which isn't the worst idea, but there's just no teeth here. And Jakob also has to stay in the lane, because what if Giannis rips through, on Scottie? Then there has to be, some resistance at the back end. It's the problem that Giannis is always going to present, and it's a very tough problem. And two, it's just the prep for it is less than ideal. And we'll see this again because he's bringing the ball down the floor. We have pressure. Again, Giannis turns his back. The Raptors, their scheme, they want the blind double, right? RJ loses his footing a little bit, so he's not as well on time. That's like, man, that's tough. But he gets to the ball. It's not such a bad double. But what is going on the back line for audio listeners? On the back line, standing like at the hash marks, both Brandon Ingram and Jakob Poeltl. Gary Trent Jr. is wide open in the corner. Emmanuel Quickley is floating, and he's left to recover out to AJ Green. But he's just not in a position. Like, AJ Green is a great shooter. He's an underrated player, and nobody's even close to him. He was 3 for 5 from downtown. And most of his looks were the result of breakdowns like this from the Raptors. And it's just, if you're going to double, it doesn't matter how good the double is at the point of attack. If your defense is not set up behind that, then what is going on? You know what I mean? And also, Giannis is the bring up ball handler. You know he's going to dribble to the elbow, and you know that you're going to have to double him. So, what the hell is happening with the rest of the defense? Nobody's engaged. Brandon Ingram, are you on Turner? Is Jakob on Turner? Who's zoning up the weak side? You guys are in the exact same spot, and you don't need to be. AI Sim says Quick was supposed to split too, and he never rotated up. It's entirely possible, though, that Quick thought he was splitting two between Gary Trent Jr. and Ryan Rollins. And so Quick is just the highest guy up the floor and recovers out. But the Raptors, they weren't able to do this kind of stuff. And whether whether it should have been Ingram floating between Gary Trent Jr. and Ryan Rollins, whether it should have been Ingram crowding up above, or whether it's quickly, that's what we're looking at. A confused team that doesn't know their help principles right now. And as far as what Giannis does, Giannis puts you in incredibly tough positions. I covered the Pacers I covered that series or their whole run to the finals, and Giannis was incredibly tough to stop. And especially in those ghost screens with guards, especially these actions where you're moving guys around and constantly tugging and pulling at what help defense looks like and what these doubles look like, it's just really, really tough. Channel says, will the Raptors be able to play this aggressive style with discipline before the league works out how to exploit it for open threes and layups? Well, the Raptors, I mean, you have to have the horses to be able to do it. You have to be able to play this style. And we'll get into like the talent of on-ball defense when we look at the screen rejects. That'll be maybe the most important portion. But I'll just let this play. Someone else asked if there was any update on CMB. I think if I had to guess, he'll be good for Sunday, but I'm not sure. Also, just to make the point here, the Raptors, Giannis, they have to overload the side all the time. Even Giannis, not on ball, but as a screener, dictates this. And so there's a couple things, right? You can see Jakob Poeltl splitting the floor, RJ splitting the floor, Miles Turner's presence, and a good timed pin in is great. And the benefit of having Giannis crowd a side of the floor, because really it's Cole Anthony on ball, right? Cole Anthony as a ball handler, being able to bring four guys to the side of the floor, not typically something he can do. However, with Giannis as a screener, is maybe a little bit different. You get a really fast ball reversal because the Raptors have to overload every side that Giannis is on because he's incredible. And they move the ball, and it's a nice intuitive screen from Miles Turner. Jakob is asking RJ to shoot to the corner, and he's saying, I'll stay, because they think Miles Turner is going to split and going to cut into the lane. But what actually happens is he sets a screen, which means that RJ is no longer in a position and means that Jakob is now the man closing out. And then Gary reads this indecision and makes Jakob back out of it and gets to his shot. Like, those quick ball reversals are only available because of Giannis's gravity, and the Raptors are less than perfect defending this kind of stuff. They had a lot of defensive mishaps yesterday, stuff they can definitely clean up. But the screen rejects, which is what I talked to Darko about post game. So Darko, I think, highlighted the screen rejects in this game partially because there was quite a few of them late, and we saw the Bucks were able to score on them, but also because the Hawks scored on them. Most of Trae Young's, and this is why it's important to talk to the coach after the game, why I like doing it so much, and why it really is. I appreciate Darko because he doesn't give me the PR answers. I ask him coaching questions, and he gives me honest answers, which allows me to go look, and it allows me to address my own eye test. It allows me to go try and find stuff for you guys. And so when he tells me that he thinks the screen rejects are a problem, and then we see, like, for example, this play, it didn't clip early enough. I could have grabbed it from Synergy, but I didn't bother. It would have been lower quality. They just screened Jameson off. They didn't screen Jameson off. Regardless, that's a different play. You're going to see a screen reject here, and it's just getting the ball down, Jakob at the level of the screen. Now, not every time is Cole Anthony going to be able to make this incredible finish at the bucket, and RJ's deterrence at the rim was actually pretty good there, the verticality. But if you're going to play this way, and Poeltl is clearly caught between, like, oh man, I'm not sure if I'm supposed to hang with Turner here. Do I stop the ball? it's everyone got spun. And if you're going to allow rejects, the big man is probably the most important portion of it. And we'll see that Scottie as the big was effective against Trae in a screen reject, but the Raptors, everybody else, it's tough. Look at this. This is oh my days. For audio listeners, it's just a sweeping cross, and Trae rejects the screen early. Quickly is completely out to lunch. Jakob is too high on Onyeka Okongwu. RJ doesn't want to leave. Luke Kennard, who's a great three-point shooter, one pass away, so it's a half-hearted swipe. Ochai, as the low man, is just like, nah, not really there. He doesn't want to leave Nickeil Alexander-Walker. This one, too, screen reject on Ochai, get down into the middle of the lane. Again, and this is like, not to do too much, but Scottie, his presence forces a way earlier pickup, and Jakob there too. And then this one, when Scottie is the screen defender and there's a reject, he can help his guy out because his guy's getting beat, right? So he steps up, and it's a great shot from Trae. But that's a much harder shot than what we're seeing in these other screen reject clips, right? But it's clear, I think, from looking at this, is that the Raptors, the point of attack, whether it's Ochai, whether it's Jamal, whether it's IQ, we'll see it later, whether it's RJ, these guys, they're having trouble corralling the defender. And the Raptors bigs are not in an incredible position to help. Here's a screen reject. Scottie is there, but he sees that Gary Trent fumbles the ball a little bit, so he's like, okay, I have to protect that pocket pass against Giannis. Then who has to step up? We have to see Jakob step up. And this one is not that bad. I'm doing a bad job of illustrating. Basically, Gary Trent Jr., screen reject. It puts the Raptors into a bit of rotation, and you get a swipe down from RJ. This is by far the best one. The Raptors, they were able to control this a little bit more. But the other screen rejects, everything goes completely, it goes wrong completely. Cole Anthony dusts Emmanuel quickly with a Smitty move. You probably remember it from Isaiah Thomas. Then Miles Turner, his gravity as a popper means that IQ is going to leave Jakob on an island, and he's going to go float out to Turner, and Cole Anthony just gets like a layup, basically. A really easy jumper for him, even though he's not like incredible at this. This one too. This was where Jamison Battle got screened off, because Jamison Battle, actually, credit to him, did a pretty good job on Cole Anthony. But you'll see here, this isn't a screen reject, but I did want to. They were hunting Ingram in this action. They put him in it. Ingram is pretty slow getting around the screen. Cole Anthony hits a pull-up three. And the crazy thing is, not even all of the Bucks' success offensively was tied inextricably to Giannis. Some of this is just Cole Anthony being like a good guard and getting to spots and creating trouble for the Raptors. This one too, not to pick too much on quickly, but oh my days, he's late here. This closeout is so low effort. Like it's clutch time. You know what I mean? And this isn't, I don't want to do low lights. Like, quickly had a lot of effort and pressure at the point of attack. It wasn't particularly good, but this is a really bad closeout. He's completely upright. He doesn't take an angle. Cole could have drove him either way. It's a really, really bad closeout. And this isn't like a good recovery from Scottie. He probably would have got called for the foul if Cole missed this, but Cole with an incredible finish at the rim. And that's partially because they have to overload to Giannis, but also just really bad closeout for late in the game. This play too, it's another screen reject. It's another time just like slipping loose and getting there. But this one, I don't blame the Raptors as much because they're in complete scramble mode. They're trying to create turnovers at this point in time. That's what we're seeing. A lot of screen rejects, a lot of the Raptors not being able to keep the ball funneled, not being able to get the ball to where they want it on the floor. Somebody asked this. They said, S. Hasney says, are NBA ball handlers taught to look for the reject first? No, they are not. But we'll see this with a lot of, the reject is great. And the reject is completely dependent on what type of defense is being played. Like if they're icing you, then you're going to reject. And it really depends how good the defender is at the big man is at the point of attack, right? But most players are taught to set their man up on a screen and to go over the screen and to use the screen really functionally. That's what they're trying to do. But all the best players know how to reject a screen and know what it looks like. And limited players who aren't able to create the types of defensive reactions they want, particularly guys who struggle with their handle a little bit, like Scottie Barnes, screen rejects are so important for him as an offensive player because so many teams are loading up to switch that they might, or even push switch, that they might get a little bit overzealous and there might be an opportunity, a seam to just push the ball down floor. It means you don't have to be a wide driver. You can take more direct lines. Like a screen reject can be extremely, extremely positive. In mine and Caitlin's podcast we did previewing the Pacers season, we were talking about how Benedict Mathurin was the worst in the NBA at allowing screen rejects. And some of that is because the Pacers, they want to go over every screen. They're very aggressive at the point of attack. So that means they're ripe to be rejected against, but which is also, there's a correlation there with what the Raptors do and how they play. They really want to attack, they really want to punish. But all this to say, the Raptors, if you're going to be aggressive, and this is why, after the first game, Trae and I were saying, the Raptors, the reason why RJ gets talked about the way he does is because he doesn't give you great ball pressure, and neither does Emmanuel Quickly. And since Quickly shoots the ball better and is quote unquote better for future facing basketball, and Quickly is graded out in basically any catch all you want, most people's eye test as a better defender. People focus on RJ's lapses defensively. But Quickly, I mean, he struggled immensely in this game. I didn't clip it because I wanted the closeout one because I love closeout technique. And the Raptors, it's something they work on with their guys a lot. But I didn't want to just put like Jamal Shed and I didn't want to put Jamal Shed and Emmanuel Quickly getting screen rejected 60 feet away from the rim, even though it happened like 4 times throughout the game. If you're going to play, you have to stay connected. If you're going to play that aggressive, you can't be jumping the ball. I mean, Jamal, there was 2 separate times where he tried to jump the ball and nothing came of it. He's allowing these big 40-foot straight line drives to the rim. And these guys, like if you have Scottie, or once, I've seen people in the chat talking about Colin Murray Boyles. If you have Colin Murray Boyles up there with you, these guys, then you can hunt a little bit more because those guys are going to be able to shoot the gap and be in front of the ball handler who's trying to create a straight line drive. In a film breakdown we did in preseason, the one on CMB, I actually highlighted this. You can help out your guards. I talked to Jamal about this too, like how much easier it makes his job having guys like that back there. But Jakob, for being a quality center that he is not going to be able to do this. Maybe when he was 25 on the Spurs, his feet were actually quite special. But as far as being able to hold up the back line and make sure that your guard can get back into the play before the other player touches the 3-point line, these kind of things they're showing up as quite difficult. And the Raptors, I'll be interested to see Jacoby Walter once he comes back. I'll be interested to see CMB once he comes back because in my mind, those are the 2 best pressure players on the roster. It's not even Ochai to me. It's Jacoby, I think, is number 1. He's quicker than CMB. He's a lot lighter. He's smaller. I think he's the best backcourt ball pressure guard on the roster. And CMB is, as far as like forwards in the NBA, I think he immediately enters the NBA as one of the best. Jonathan Mobo is also tremendous. Like I should have clipped it probably, but Jamal Shed jumps Cole Anthony's dribble. Cole Anthony spins off, and Mobo immediately steps in and slides with him for probably like 15 feet until Cole has to make a fading floater. That's a tough shot. You take that, but it's simply because Mobo is a very special mover for a front court player, for a guy who's the second player in these screening actions. So the Raptors, it'll be really interesting because I thought Grady was going to get a bit more run last night, and he didn't. I won't chide Darko for that because they started losing the game defensively, but that was with their better defenders on the floor, so maybe they should have gone for a little bit more spacing on offense. Who knows? I think they probably would have hunted Grady with Giannis in some actions or tried to. And I don't know if the Raptors wanted to get into the rigmarole of pre-switching him out. All that stuff is, potential. There's potential for all this kind of stuff. By the way, there's 400 people in here. Make sure to like the video. It'll help spread it to other people. At Raptors Republic, we do a lot of great work. We do stuff like this. We think it is the best in market. And thanks for tuning in. I'm going to grab a drink really quick because I've been talking 30 minutes nonstop. That's nice. Okay. But CMB and Jacoby both figure into this rotation. Jameson Battle played last night. He was great. The Raptors went deep. Darko went deep. Jamal Shed, he plays every night, every game. Even though he tweaked himself, he hurt himself. And even as the Bucks, it was tied at 108. They go on a 7-0 run to pull away. In the fourth quarter, Cole Anthony has 9 points and 3 assists. Giannis has 8 points. Gary Trent Jr. has 8 points. Something's going wrong there. And as we detailed in all of this film, the Raptors lost the thread. Like, yes, Giannis's presence is always looming and makes it difficult to defend things, but they also just a few times lost the thread keeping tabs on Cole Anthony. Cole Anthony was not signed in the regular portion of free agency. He was signed afterwards. He was, for the NBA, even for the Bucks, an afterthought. And he comes in and functionally, like, Giannis wins them every game, but Cole Anthony wins them this game. Gary Trent Jr. was also great. Andrew says Battle was great. Battle was great. He and Grady, I think, were the only two positives as far as plus minus on the team. And Battle was because he hit 3 for 3 from downtown and his ball pressure defense wasn't too shabby. And Grady was because Grady wasn't too bad on defense in this game. And because he was part of that run in the second quarter where the Raptors really were able to get the pace going. And but Grady, it wasn't a great game for him. The plus minus for him, I don't think is super important, but Battle, there's a pretty good correlation there. James Welch says, Samson, I always like the lives and videos. First thing, we all should support the people who take the time to entertain us. Thank you very much. Channel, thank you for the bald don't lie name. I appreciate it so much. We're actually running with that. Channel says, it's also just a sample size of 2 games, but I find it interesting Cole Anthony had this success when Trae Young didn't. The great question or great insight, right? This is what S brought up on our vlog. We kind of broke down the game a little bit. But the big difference between Cole Anthony and Trae Young is that the Raptors are running a 2-person press against Cole Anthony as a ball handler. One guy goes and meets him with the pressure. And there's the big, usually Miles Turner is up there if you need a back screen in the backcourt. And they're playing with that high step-up screen like 50 feet away from the rim, 46, 48, whatever. Trae Young, the Raptors are using a 3-man press, and they're playing deny defense with 2 players on him. So the reason why is that Cole Anthony actually created a lot of what he was doing out of screen rejects, picking on guys like Jakob Poeltl who are too high, and the Raptors are not, they have to dictate and put their help defense a little bit more towards Giannis. Whereas with with Trae Young, the Raptors are putting most of their help towards him. He's moving the ball on, and he's not the bring-up ball handler to take advantage very often. You could see I guess I can just show some of this again. The screen rejects, which is why I wanted to go pull them. The screen rejects, there's not much help, and so in this play, Trae is being guarded the same way that Cole Anthony was, and it's mincemeat. It's easy as hell. Trae does a fantastic job of screen rejecting and getting middle, and Jakob at the level of the screen is not going to create this big change. Scottie at the level of the screen gave the most resistance, as we discussed earlier. This kind of stuff, screen rejects, were available to him, but they weren't so available all game. And it's just the level of pressure. It's the level of pressure that the Raptors were able to give to Trae Young. They prioritized him. They also prioritized Giannis in this game. Firefish says, and Trae can't do that but with Jalen Johnson acting as Giannis. It's a lot of what I was discussing in the film breakdowns really was that Giannis, even when he's not on ball, you still feel his gravity, and it affects ball reversals. It affects overloading the side. It affects everything that the Raptors are doing defensively, and it's it's not it's just tough, right? It's just tough. Channel says, would it then stand to reason D'Angelo Russell is about to have a career night? Yeah, I don't. I like D'Angelo Russell a lot. We'll see how the Raptors guard AD and Cooper and that whole setup. I was asked a question. Um, let's see, from Happy Worlds on Twitter, which relates to this. Says, "What are you excited about Raps Mavs matchup, but also possibly talk about AD and whatever is going on there if he'll get back to form, etc. But if it's just Raptors based, then you can just talk about what you're excited to see." Yeah, I'm excited to see how the Raptors guard bigger teams because I've been someone who for some time has said that, Jakob is good and he's essential to what the Raptors want to do, but that his value is maybe inflated to the team because they haven't been playing or just haven't had the big man depth to show other avenues. And Mamu might display that a little bit this year, but I really am interested to see how the Raptors handle these bigger teams because they have to throw a lot of attention from a lot of different places. But I will say, I'm pretty sure the Raptors are going to beat the Mavs. Uh, they're in a great position to guard a guy like Cooper Flag, who struggles with his dribble, who struggles on his last step to get to the rim. They will be in a decent position to guard Anthony Davis, especially with AD taking a lot of jumpers. And I mean, the guard play, I might sound like an idiot, when they play the Mavs. I might sound like an idiot because uh, the Raptors tried to win the guard battle. They tried to win the backcourt battle in this past game. They were looking at Cole Anthony and Ryan Rollins and Gary Trent Jr. and they said, well, we have, Emmanuel Quickly. We have RJ Barrett. And RJ was pretty solid offensively. I mean, again, 20 points on 12 shots. He's 45 points on 24 shots so far this season. He's been incredibly efficient. Quickly had a lot of the ball last game. He opened up the game taking like half of the Raptors shots because they were trying to, squeeze leverage from that position, and it just wasn't good. Late in the game, left points on the rim, left points at the free throw line, and got allowed a lot of screen rejects, allowed a lot of line drives from his check. And while Quickly I didn't think was terrible, on the backside of things, his stuff at the point of attack struggled. I mean, when I was asking Quickly about his 3-point stuff, when we were all talking to him after the game yesterday, he said, like, that one's on me. And it's not totally on him. There's breakdowns everywhere else. It's never just on one guy. But Quickly definitely deserves a share of the blame, although it goes around. I don't want to be too hard on him. He didn't play well. It is what it is, Vegan Grass says IQ came into media day noticeably defensive in his interviews. I don't know what that means, if anything, but it was weird. As someone who's there talking to IQ, I didn't notice that at all. So, I mean, perception is a hell of a thing, right? Like, and I'm not saying you're wrong. Just saying that was not something I picked up on. Donkey says, what do you think of Ochai being put on Giannis early in the game? I was surprised Mobo didn't get much of a shot with CMB out. Asking a 6'5" guy to guard Giannis is asking a lot. Yeah. The funny thing is, Mobo is 6'6", right? Like, that's what they say. They say he's 6'6". Ochai on Giannis. I mean, clearly what they want to do is they want to apply pressure to bother the dribble, and then they want to be able to soften and make Giannis, attack a set defense. But when Ochai immediately gets put on Giannis's hip and just never gets back, and Giannis just drives the ball 75 feet to the rim, then, I mean, come on, man. Like, it's very tough. Um, What's Channel says Ochai versus Giannis is the sequel to CJ Miles versus Kevin Love in 2018. Yeah, man, it's that was a tough situation, but the Scottie I thought did a really good job on Giannis. The rotations around that sometimes were lacking, but Scottie deserves flowers actually for that. What he doesn't deserve flowers for is passing out of the paint into a turnover late because he felt Giannis's presence and he got nervous when you flexed on him earlier in the game. I need that consistency, man. I like if you're gonna flex on a guy like that, I need that same oomph at the end of the game. Giannis just took it in stride, then had 30 points and 20 rebounds and just won the game. Scottie finished with like 16, and Scottie played good defense. And, Scottie went, he wasn't so bad offensively. He was 2 of 4 from downtown, which I appreciated. But, I mean, it's what is it? It's the MJ smoking the cigar with the baseball bat. He's like, "Yep, yeah, I really you got to talk trash when you're up and when you're down." Yeah. IZJ says angry about last game. Why does IQ think he's a star? RJ is fine getting buckets and getting his trade value up, which is nice. Well, talking about guys like that is so funny. Could you imagine RJ reading this? He's like, "Oh, this guy thinks I'm doing good. Oh, just to get my trade value up." You know what I mean? It's it's funny. But like, I don't know, if I'm watching this and I'm on another team, then I'm thinking like, "Oh, RJ is a chameleon offensively. He's just done a great job of adapting." But he's always done a great job of adapting. He's basically, since he came to Toronto, he's done whatever they ask of him. And low key, he did similar things in New York. He's always been, and he does it at FIBA playing next to SGA. He's pretty adaptable offensively, but there's no getting around some of the warts he has defensively sometimes. But he's great. Like RJ, I reserve very little critiques of RJ so far in the season. If something else happens, but the way he's played, he doesn't deserve any type of like breakdown on what's going wrong. It's been a rough start for IQ, but it's 2 games. There's 82 of them. If there's any other questions, larger questions, I'll answer them. But as far as like talking about the Bucks game, I think we beat that dead horse, man. It's definitely, we've been talking about it. There's some people suggesting bringing Precious back. Everyone who's watched this show that I do knows that I love Precious. He's my favorite shooting guard in the NBA. I love that he stylizes himself like that. He has a lot of funky features of his game, and he's a tremendous isolation defender at his size. He's a great athlete, but the way the Raptors run their bigs through stuff, Precious processing the floor, making reads, I just don't think it would shake out, unfortunately. As much as I really like Precious. I think Precious should be playing next to a guy like Luka Doncic or something like that, where if he gets the chance to hit a couple open threes, if he gets around that, and as far as attacking closeouts, he can do that, and then defensively, he gives you stuff. You know what I mean? Alex Taleo says, professional analysis of the Blue Jays. I wish I could. I played an okay level of baseball. I love baseball. I know the game, but as far as like interpreting the stats and the strategy at the highest level, I mean, I listen to Blake's show every day. I love Blue Jays Talk Plus. I think he does a fantastic job. We'll do some podcasts together once they've raised the World Series above themselves. But yeah. Mugarbe says, you clown want to trade RJ just like how you want to trade Pascal when Scottie is the TR. Okay, well, anyway, I here's hitting on something that the fans of this team have been very willing to throw what's the term? A conveyor belt of whoever is on the team under the bus because quote unquote Scottie's team isn't succeeding well enough. And it was like, it's Fred, it's OG, it's Pascal, it's IQ, it's RJ. It'll probably become Ingram if they don't succeed. It's just, You're hitting on something true. I think Scottie's a very good player, but this fan base, because you get this big split of standum getting introduced. The fan base is very eager to throw guys under the bus, and there's a lot of guys who need to perform better. And at the time in my own coverage, I was saying like I thought that Pascal was very closely aligned to Scottie's great season. That Pascal really helped elevate Scottie when Scottie made All-Star. And people didn't think so. A lot of people thought he should just be like a spread pick and roll point guard, Magic Johnson, all this kind of stuff. When I didn't think that was how he was succeeding really, and that his two-man actions, a lot of the screening and carving out space that he was working with Pascal was great. And between Fred, OG, and Pascal, there's those guys are. I mean, they've succeeded. AI Sims says Siakam stands are by far the worst. Pascal Siakam has a very small fan base in the NBA, I'll say. I don't even, there's like what, 4 Pascal Siakam stands? I think this is probably your bubble. If you're like, oh, the damn Pascal Siakam stands. I don't even know if that's like a real group of people. The Siakam 1A teams were terrible. They weren't great. It's totally true. Siakam 1B, however, game 7 of the finals. There's yeah. Vegan Grass says Siakam stands throw Scottie under the bus too, but no one talks about that either. Yep, probably because Scottie has a way bigger fan base than Pascal Siakam, and Scottie has a very active fan base. And yeah, Pascal is a guy who has succeeded very much at the NBA level. He's Vegan Grass says half the Raptors fan base are Siakam stands, bro. Uh, man, you're probably a Scottie stan if you feel this way. And like, listen, you can be a Scottie stan, but I am someone who, I mean, I'm constantly interacting with the fan base, constantly, uh, and I observe this all the time. So half the fan base is Siakam stans. I don't agree with that, but okay. Regardless, stands. People like players. It is what it is, right? Stands. AI Sem says I'm a Siakam stan. Sure. I stan behavior. Hell yeah. Yeah, that's why I don't see it, because I'm a Siakam stan. Okay. S. Hasney. Oh, yes. Says Siakam stans are a problem, trust. Hell yeah. Channel says Pacer question. Any high-level takeaways from game 1? Do we like the new Kobe Shaq duo of Matherin and Pascal? Kobe Shaq is that's an elevated comp. But I'll keep my Pacers analysis for as far as with Caitlin and I. AI Sem says Pacers glaze incoming. Ha ha ha. It's all in good fun, Samson. Country Kong says Siakam stands are a small but loud minority. This is shocking to me, actually. Pascal Siakam is not a very popular player in the NBA. He doesn't get a lot of votes. He doesn't get a lot of attention, all this kind of stuff. So this is surprising to me. Regardless, I've just been talking about standum. Genesis Hall says, I liked how they used Jarris. I did too. I haven't really gotten any interesting questions. It's just people talking about stands or complaining about stands, which I deserve some of the blame too, because I was talking about stands and opened this up. So my bad. But there's 485 people in here. Like the video. It helps the channel. We don't talk about stands that often. We're mostly doing 35 minutes of deep film breakdown. And Jaden says, thoughts on Scottie's three-point shot making? I liked the shots he took. I thought, they were lower in the floor. They were after, it was like a big-time created shot. The shot fell into his hands. That was the look that the Raptors created. And he made them count. 2 of 4, great. I loved the shots that he took from downtown in last night's game. And I thought he took great shots. He was overextended trying to navigate the size in the Bucks front court. And it's just that is what it is, That is what it is. Max Yeager says Bucks missing KPJ, which is elite at point guard position, and still won. KPJ elite at point guard. That's a shocker for me. I don't think he's elite at all. Vegan Grass says we're all CMB stands. I'm gonna wear a suit to the first CMB game, man. I'm really excited. I'm really excited to see CMB play. I really hope it's Sunday, but the first time he plays at home, I might get a little suit on. Just be like, hell yeah, let's go. Andrew says I'm a Raptors stan before any player. Yeah. That's I don't even like the way stan is being used now in the chat. I don't agree with it. Like a stan is not a fan. A stan is something more where like you dedicate your time, you make fan cams, you argue about them online all the time, all that kind of stuff. This just sounds like fandom. Recovering Grady stan. I don't think this is congruent with the actual meaning of standum. You know what I mean? This just sounds like fans. I think I'm talking to fans of the Raptors right now who like certain players. I mean, everybody likes players, some players more. Um, yeah, that's what I think. Donkey says, do you think the Raptors consider changing their aggressive defensive style at any point this year? The starters just don't seem well suited for it. This is one of the big questions for the season. Jaden says no Jacoby minutes. I kind of was surprised, not gonna lie. He's recovering from an illness, so that's why. To the point about Donkey, do you think the Raptors consider changing their aggressive style? I do. I think that at some point there will be a push come to shove where they eventually ratchet it back. This happens with teams all the time. They ratchet it up to 100, evaluate where it's at there, and then they get back to a spot where they're like, okay, we know where we were overextended. We peel it back a little bit. In this case, we can ratchet it up in other circumstances. It might be as time goes on, they might make the play style a little bit more dependent on what lineups are out there or what kind of players drive play style. Some guys are really well suited to jump over screens. Some guys are much better suited to go under them. But some teams have these hard lines that they take for periods of times where they're like, we go over screens no matter what. And that's not the best for everybody. And sometimes you do have to go under screens. And sometimes that does put a lot more pressure. I mean, when I was talking to Jamal Shed in the summer for that big piece I wrote on him, we were talking about how he said, defenses are doing him a favor when they go over a screen. You know what I mean? And because he feels so much more comfortable. And when teams go under screens, suddenly he's put in like this massive problem solving situation, right? Big My 28 says I'm late to the convention, but 2 shots in the fourth for our supposed number one offensive threat on your team. What's the cause for that? Was BI froze, or do you think he was being too passive? Well, there's a couple things, right? We can put the offensive stuff back on screen if we want to. Quickly was getting to the rim or like close, and like this shot, he just blew a layup. That's a possession where you run that back, you say, you know what, quickly just make the layup, please, instead of airballing it. This play, Brandon Ingram, it's not a shot, but it was an empty side pick and roll that he had, and he makes the perfect read. They have a 3-on-2, right? And Jakob, if he sees Gary's, bumping down to Scottie, maybe he makes the play out to RJ instead. But he goes to Scottie, who probably, if he had just caught it right, could have went straight up. When he turns around and tries to go up again, then we see Giannis is in the vicinity and Scottie squirts the ball out for a turnover and sends them up court. That's good process. It doesn't result in usage for Brandon, but it was Brandon featured here. I mean, quickly, as far as like attacking with a dribble, did a great job. Pirtle does a fantastic job of Gortat screening in the lane. It's just quickly, he's going into a floater here. Go finish at the cup, man. He leaves it on the rim and then he splits the free throws. It's like you just need to finish. This one too. This is right before clutch time technically starts, right? Brandon, we talked about and broke this play down, but basically the weak side zone, he doesn't read it correctly and he turns the ball over. Ryan Rollins stunted him and tricked him. And that's a possession for Brandon that just didn't go well. Like Brandon, and the 3 he hit was just a big time pull. Brandon got some looks and quickly got some looks that you wouldn't even want to give to Brandon because he's at the rim. just quickly left stuff on the rim, and he missed his free throws. Like, that's just very tough to survive, right? Um, that being said, I do think Brandon should have got the ball more, because even though, quickly did end up generating some decent looks, I don't personally trust him to create more points per possession in the long haul than Brandon Ingram does. And I also don't think, despite Ryan Rollins and Cole Anthony being out there and Gary Trent Jr., I thought that the advantage probably lied with Brandon Ingram as an offensive creator. That was my expectation. S. Hasney, Siakam Stan hater. I figured, yeah. Says, curious to see how they balance between BI getting more standstill creation or playing more off motion. Well, the interesting thing, right, is that basically everything Ingram did, it was the first basket of this game, was off motion, right? Is an Iverson cut. It's the cut I broke down in the, I made a video breaking down the Raptors offense before the season started. And the very first play I broke down was the ATO / sidelines out of bounds play that they run for Ingram off of the Iverson cut. They scored a basket. He got a wide open layup or dunk, I can't remember, out of Iverson loop. They're running a bunch of Iverson stuff just to get him in motion, catching, so that he can attack and survey. The best players survey while they're running the route before they catch the ball, so they know where the defense is and they attack as soon as they catch it. Ingram, when he's right, does stuff like that. But Country Kong says here, BI was missing open people all night. Darko has to tell him he needs to play like a point guard for us. On that play, RJ made a perfect cut. BI missed him. Well, I don't on that. Oh, when RJ comes from the corner, I didn't think that was so open, if I'm remembering correctly. But it would be interesting to look at it again. Yeah. So this is RJ. I like RJ is for a split second, but Miles Turner is pinching down to the paint. I don't think RJ can get a shot up here. I really don't think RJ can get a shot up here. I don't think that pass is viable. They created the rotation they wanted, and Ingram, he goes out to the place where he thinks he can get the pass to Mamu here. I mean, I broke down this play before. I don't think RJ was so open there. But um as far as like BI missing open people all night, BI is not a faultless creator. He misses reads from time to time. Yeah, it's just it's something we'll be seeing over the course of, I guess, the season. I don't. Yeah, AI Sam says Turner is a top level shot blocker. He's getting blocked from behind. Yeah, he might get blocked from behind on that one. But yeah, who's to say? Yeah. Country Kong says the Bucks were doubling BI the same way we were doubling Giannis. He has to be able to make plays out of those situations. I don't think I agree with that. I don't think it was the same level of doubles. He did receive like gap help though, for sure. But as far as like catch immediately sending to, I didn't find that to be the case. Although maybe I'm missing something. Prompts Help says, what up from Portland, Oregon? Samson and team, thanks for all the great content. If we had CMB in the rotation, do we win this one? I feel like he could take a few baskets off Giannis. Now, what was it, like a 6-point loss, and they lost in the fourth quarter? I think CMB probably, maybe I'm being too much of a homer and a lover of CMB here, a stan, too much of a CMB stan. But I do wonder if he might have been able to swing a couple of the most important matchups in this game. I really do. And yeah, maybe they do win. Maybe they do win with CMB. CMB would have helped a lot. They could have had much better ball pressure. They would have had a much easier time bottling up Cole Anthony, and they would have had a guy who can play on Giannis a little bit. And also, their best stretch of this game was when they were playing hit ahead, when they were playing fast, and CMB plays perfectly in that scheme. And also, CMB is he's not useless in the half court. CMB probably could have drove Miles Turner to the basket. CMB probably could have given some very helpful screens. There would have been utility there. Sure, we're playing the hypothetical game. CMB also if he's not on Giannis, that means that he's disrupting things elsewhere. If he's on Giannis, then maybe Scottie's disrupting things elsewhere. Sure, let's play the hypothetical game that they would have won. I love CMB, so I mean, we still got to see him play a real NBA regular season game, but let's do yeah, they would have won. I don't mind that. It's about an hour of recording. I still got to upload this to the audio portion. Okay. Ryan K, one last question, a little bit of trade fodder. Says, Samson, just a question. If we can trade Yak and IQ plus extra picks for Trae, how much is it worth? I mean, I don't know. I really don't know. AI Sem says a lot of pressure put on this kid who looked mediocre in Summer League. You know who else looked mediocre in Summer League? Trae Young, and then he put the league on fire once he came in. But AI Sems, I know you've been hating quietly on CMB. If I've been seeing the comments, if I've been reading it correctly over the time, I didn't. CMB was not terrific in Summer League, but he's more of a multiplier offensively, and the Raptors' offense in Summer League was terrible. Jacoby and Jamal did a horrific job guiding the offense. So the opportunities for bigs were not really there because they couldn't create. And that's a lot of what they were asking CMB to do. I thought given the no foul out and the rapid pressure and pace of Summer League, I thought his defense looked incredible. But CMB also looked really strong in preseason, although he didn't get to play very much of it. He's a rookie. Rookies are typically not positive players. You're right, though. A lot of pressure to put on him. I just want to see his warts. I just want to see what CMB can do. Everyone here does. Oh, we have another question. Let's see. Country Gong says, be honest, from what you've seen from Common Maluach early in the season, considering Yak's regression and our lack of rim protectors, being the number one CMB stand, do you still agree with the pick? I haven't seen any of Maluach. I haven't seen either of the Phoenix games. So I couldn't tell you, honestly. I'm not a guy who's going to watch highlights and tell you I've seen a guy. I watch whole games and I say then what I've seen. Maluach, I've not seen. James Welch says Maluach is too slow, buddy. Forget about him. This was also something when I was doing my film breakdowns of Maluach and Trae and I were talking about him. I was like, this guy seems really slow, and everybody was telling me he was really fast and that he had incredible feet, and that didn't make sense to me back then. And I said, no, he looks like he has really slow feet. And then he did the combine testing, and he had really slow feet. He was like, he tested similarly to Donovan Clingan, who everyone said was a slow-footed ogre before the draft. But Maluach, I mean, Godspeed. I hope he has an awesome career. He has a great story. He's a kid. These guys are kids. I hope he has a great career. I thought he had slow feet, but I hope he has a great career. I hope he's fantastic. Vegan Grass says, if Yak and CMB play and are 100%, easy win tomorrow. Let's cross our fingers for that. AI Sem says people can look slow but cover a lot of ground with their length. Yeah, that's exactly what I said. I said he had slow feet. He has trouble turning his body, but when he gets to collect his feet and extend out, he covers ground at a rapid pace because he's super long. And he's good. He moves his legs. The feet are slow. But yeah, he's a massive guy. He's got a shot, man. Maluach has a real shot. He's huge. He doesn't have terrible touch. We'll see what happens. Good luck to him. Better luck to Colin Murray-Boyles. Let's hope. That's probably where I should leave it. Thank you to everybody for tuning in. Make sure to like before you get out of here. Subscribe if you haven't. This is, I suspect, outside of like the clickbaity channels that are doing like, oh my God, stuff that like I think like a lot of 15-year-olds watch is for, I think Raptors Republic. I think we can be the number one Raptors YouTube channel this season with our mix of light commentary, podcast commentary, breakdowns, all that kind of stuff, and video essays. There's a lot of stuff coming. I think we can be number one. So make sure to subscribe and tune in with us. Enjoy. And I'm Samson Folk. If you want to go follow me on socials, go ahead. Big My 28 says, agreed. Andrew says, thanks, Samson. Amazing live as always. I appreciate you guys. Thank you very much. Vegan Grass says, why can R get Blake on the pod, but Hello can't? I'll tell you one thing. I lived with Blake Murphy. That's my brother. Blake and I are very close. Nothing breaks that bond. I lived when I moved to Toronto. I lived with Blake. You know what I mean? That's my guy. Brothers for life. Beard brothers. Um, anyway, thank you to everybody for tuning in. I appreciate everybody so much. Like the video before you get out of here. The likes are good. Hype the video or something like that. Okay, and audio listeners, thank you for laboring through video breakdown. Mugarbe says, if you be fair, it can be number one. I do my best. I'm not right about everything. I am just as apt to be wrong. Basketball analysis is tough. Hall of Fame coaches are wrong about things, and I'm certainly not that. But I do try and be fair. I do try and show my work, whether it's through the statistical analysis or the film review. If I believe something, you're going to know why I believe it. And even if you think it's wrong, you'll know I came there earnestly. I'll try to be fair. And you try and be fair as well. Ball Don't Lie coming next week. Pull Up Trae coming twice this upcoming week. Thank you to everybody for tuning in, whether you got into this in the morning or at night. Have a blessed day. Go Blue Jays. 2-0, 2-0. Have a wonderful day. Have a blessed day. And goodbye.